Life cycle assessment of compound feeds for chicken.
The background of our life cycle assessment. Suitable animal nourishment is an integral part of the food chain. Compound feed plays a vital role in the process of ensuring food safety along the entire livestock and aquaculture production and supply chain. The production and sourcing of raw materials, plus their processing for quality-assured compound feed, has become a major consumer concern.
The goals of our life cycle assessment are the following. Identify emissions in air, energy, solid waste, and wastewater in each process. Second, determine the corresponding laws governing the waste produced. Third, determine the impacts of every process in the environment. Fourth, reuse unwanted products from the food industry such as bread.
The scope of our life cycle assessment. The scope is from cradle to gate. It involves getting the raw materials, manufacturing, handling of wastewater, quality control, and packaging.
The overall process flow diagram of our life cycle assessment entails the arrival of our raw materials in sack from manufacturers, processing of raw materials, wastewater treatment, material recovery facility, and bagging of the finished products. For the air pollutant NOx, the environmental impacts are eutrophication and photochemical smog. And the abiding law is Republic Act 8749 Philippine Clean Air Act. For the air pollutant SOx, the environmental impacts are human health problem, damage to plants or animals, aesthetic damage, reduced visibility smog. And the abiding law is Republic Act 8749 Philippine Clean Air Act. For the air pollutant particulate matter, the environmental impacts are respiratory disease, retard plant growth, corrosive damage, alteration of weather. And the abiding law is Republic Act 8749 Philippine Clean Air Act.
For the water pollutant, BOD, the environmental impacts are fish kill, acceleration of plant growth and decay. And the abiding law is the Republic Act 9275, the Philippine Clean Water Act. For the water pollutant, TSS, total suspended solids, the environmental impacts are fish kill, reduced light penetration, reduces the ability of algae to produce oxygen and food. And the abiding law is the Republic Act 9275, Philippine Clean Water Act. For the water pollutant, TDS, total dissolved solids, the environmental impact is decreasing ability of water to dissolve additional solutes. And the abiding law is the Republic Act 9275, Philippine Clean Water Act.
Grinder. The raw materials fed in the grinder are coming from two sources, from the farm and the factory. From the farm, lucerne chaff, wheaten chaff, lupins, oats, and rumescens. From the factory, breads, which are waste from bread manufacturing plant, and mineral premixes are all delivered in the company in sacks. All raw materials are put straight in the grinder, and their sacks are placed in the MRF. The ungrinded solid also goes straight to the MRF. The output for the grinder are grinded raw materials which go straight in the mixer. MRF. The material recovery system makes use of unwanted materials during processes in order to make them usable again. Ungrinded solids from the grinder will then go to the screen, which will separate large particles to small. Large particles will be put into the sack that came from the raw materials and sent to the cement manufacturer. Small particles will then enter the recycle stream and go back to the grinder.
Mixer. Grinded raw materials are mixed in this process, while adding molasses as binding agent. The drums of the molasses will then go to the drum filling process as for the sludge. There is a wastewater stream from the cleaning of the mixer. The output from the mixer is a cohesive mash which will go to pelleting.
Pelleting. The cohesive mash from the mixer is fed into the pelletizer and soft moist pellets were produced. The recovered mash was recycled from cleaning and fed back to the input of this process. Belt dryer. The belt dryer received the soft moist pellets for cooling and drying. A belt dryer is a sustainable way of drying pellets since heat was not introduced in the process. The pellets from cleaning the belt dryer will be recycled back to the entering stream of the belt dryer.
Sieving. In sieving, the cooled and dried pellets will be processed in order to separate feeds in powdered form from those that are pelletized. The powdered pellets from sifting and dusting will be recycled back to the pelletizer. Pellets that are free from dust will then be weighed, put into the bags, and sealed. The products will be checked in the quality control room. If there are damages in the sacks, then the feeds will then be recycled back to sieving process. The sack that was damaged will then be stored and sold to the sack manufacturer.
Screening. The wastewater coming from the mixer is fed into the wastewater treatment facility. The wastewater contains high BOD, TSS, and TDS. The screen is used to separate larger suspended solids from the water.
Coagulation. Coagulation removes dirt and other particles suspended in water. Aluminum sulfate is added to water to form tiny sticky particles that attract the dirt, making it heavy. The drums used for the aluminum sulfate are sent in the drum filling process. Some of the nutrients separated from the waste went directly to the sludge treatment, and most of the particles, TSS, BOD, TDS, goes through sedimentation process. Sedimentation. The suspended particles TSS, BOD, and TDS undergo the sedimentation process. Some TSS and BOD will sink in the bottom, going directly to the primary sludge treatment. The remaining TSS, BOD, TDS will then go through the filtration process. The sludge treatment and disposal process contains almost all of the organic load removed from the treated wastewater. Composted sludge are used as a fertilizer and soil conditioner. It is sent to the drum filling process, ready for the distribution.
Filtration. The water passes through filtration to remove even smaller particles. The filter cake along with the TSS is sent to the primary sludge treatment and disposal. When the filter is clogged, backwashing is being done with the use of a high pressurized water. The filtrate is then sent to the biological treatment process. Anaerobic reactor. Anaerobic process is an effective way of removing biodegradable organic compounds, leaving mineralized compounds. The anaerobic reactor is treated with bacterial consortium, arriving in drums which is then directly fed to the reactor. Bacterial consortium is capable of converting insoluble particulate organic material that is then converted to methane and CO2. The unreacted minerals or sludge is then sent to the sludge treatment and disposal.
Aerobic reactor. The aerobic reactor takes in the treated wastewater from the anaerobic reactor. The reactor takes the air in from the surrounding because the bacteria utilizes oxygen from the air in order to degrade organic matter, which is the BOD, and converts it to CO2.
Clarifier. Clarifiers remove flux of biological growth created from aerobic and anaerobic reactor, including activated sludge. The sludge produced in this process is either delivered to the return activated sludge or waste activated sludge. From this biological treatment, the percentage of BOD in water is reduced up to 98 to 99%. Chlorination. Water chlorination is the process of adding chlorine. This method is used to kill certain bacteria and other microbes in tap water, as chlorine is highly toxic. In particular, chlorination is used to prevent the spread of waterborne disease such as cholera, dysentery, and typhoid.